you gon' be good. Yeah.
I had to be real quick to give my life back permission to be all I can without the limits. I guard my ears and my vision from naysayers' opinion. It's not their life I'm living, it's not they mind I was given. Ideas come to fruition as I progress on this mission. Snakes all in the grass, yes, I can hear the hissing, but y'all can miss me with the venom. Won't be no lovey-dovey kissing. I hit the Dougie as I diss him, I get him.
Count your blessings while you got them. You chase behind the wrong ones, boy, that's why you lost them. Sometimes in life you need to put things on hold. You go through the fire and come out as pure gold. So keep on going higher, higher. Your success will cause a riot, and your growth will show us lying. So we gon' be good, you gon' be good,
yeah.
Dawn, to begin to grow light as the sun rises. Example, waited for the day to dawn.
Dawn, to begin to be perceived or understood. Example, the truth finally dawned on us.
Dawn, to begin to appear or develop. Example, a new era is dawning.
Yeah. Yo, that's the incomparable Malia Dawn, ladies and gentlemen. It's your man, Marifa Black, yet again, with a great topic, man. We here for another Still Building podcast, you dig? Well, right now, man, we going in, and we're going to be talking about police brutality in the Black community, man. And we got our panel today. You know what I'm saying? We got to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? The recent events that have happened in Memphis, Tennessee. We're going to be discussing, man, Tyre Nichols and his case, you know, police brutality case, and how we can prevent that from ever happening again in the Black community. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to bring in my guests, my co-hosts, you know what I'm saying? The four horsemen. Let me pull them up and bring them in. Yeti. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We getting to it. We live. You did. Kit Jones, Jack O, we in the building. Still Building podcast yet again. Black for season 1, episode 3. You dig? Jack O back in the building. You dig? Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? We had the incomparable Malia Dawn, you know what I'm saying, in the intro. You dig? Drop that Dawn versus Dawn. You know what I'm saying? That go cop that joint, you know, wherever you get your music streaming, you cop that joint, Malia Dawn. Check her out. All right, so dig, fellas, man. We coming back, man. We got a very, very important topic to discuss, man. Police brutality in the Black community. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things occurred here recently, the beginning of the year. Let me give a backdrop of the story, what kind of briefly happens if you haven't heard already. On January 7th, you know, Tyre Nichols was pulled over by the police in the car, and he was, you know, pretty much tased and beaten and by 5 police officers who happened to be Black Africans, okay? Black African police officers. Beat him down, you know, tased him, beat him, and it was all caught on video, all right? Then, just recently, they had a notification of a 6th police officer who was also involved, who happened to be white, you know? So that individual police officer tased Tyre Nichols, and then they had, you know, the 5 were charged with 2nd-degree murder, okay? Now, in the state of Tennessee, 2nd-degree murder is punishable for, I think, 15 to 16 years in prison, right? 1st-degree murder is punishable by death, all right? So there's also been speculatory rumors that have been proven to be false about Tyre having involvement with one of the officers, you know, ex-wives, you know, and they were trying to use that as a means to, you know, get off or reduce their sentence. All right. So the father of Tyre has already come out and displayed, he got rid of that myth and that rumor, saying that it was untrue. All right. So we have a very, very, you know, tragic event that occurred because Tyre died in the hospital from his injuries 3 days later after January 7th. The information just now recently came out. I think January 26th, the video footage was released. And of course, you saw, if you have been watching and following the case, you saw the funeral services where Vice President Kamala Harris was in attendance. talking about, congressional policies need to be changed on police brutality. And we can go into a little bit further discussion about that as we go further in our discussion today on the podcast. All right, so with that little brief history of what occurred in the situation, we know that in America, we've been dealing with this, systemic issue of police brutality on Black Africans, from the police department for quite a long time. Now, this is the very first time we've seen one where Black Africans were actually committing, Black African police officers rather, was committing the brutality on a Black African male or, Black African citizen, right? So it's very unique in that way. Other instances has been the other races have been, police brutality on it. So that shows you there's a cultural issue going on in police force, right? So with that said, I want to jump it off to my man Kit. We'll go ahead and open this up and talk about some of the systemic issues that, are involved in that.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny, bro. Like you touched on where I was going to start, which is now that we see it's Black on Black, right? That it kind of codifies a situation, right? Because as people of color, we have always said it's the system against us, right? It doesn't matter the cop was, Caucasian, Asian persuasion. It didn't matter because that's what we saw in the George Floyd incident too, right? We see that there were at least one mulatto in the picture,
Right.
and an Asian guy who was the brother-in-law of the officer with his knee on his neck, right?
Right.
But this whole time, what we've been explaining is, this has been a systemic issue, and I think because of the ethnicity of the officers involved, it really nails home the systemic issue. It's not that these are just cops and they did this because they're racist. No, they did this because that's an institution that attracts psychopaths, right? It's an institution that attracts little boys who used to just kill mice, and smash gophers with hammers, end up becoming cops, right? And just to reiterate what the brother started out with, we're not anti-good cop. I have to say that, first and foremost. If you're a good cop, you're a decent person. If you're a bad cop, we call you pigs, right? Because those are piggish actions, totally inhumane, right? But this happens when people have that, when they feel that sense of liberty that, well, I'm the one with the badge. I'm the one that makes the decision. I got these 4 other cats with me that are going to agree with whatever it is that I'm doing because we're in cahoots, So I think, for the first and, foremost, it's bothered me because it was almost like clockwork, things seem to be rolling fine. And then boom, we got to throw this another one out there just to, sometimes, my impression has been done to keep you emotionally in check, right? Or emotionally suppressed. Not so much in check like, you're doing the right or wrong thing, but just to keep your spirits down, right? So some positives I've seen along this way is I've seen more and more, especially in the social media, of people encouraging people to more or less disconnect from the emotional side of, number one, the sensationalization of sharing the video, right? If you haven't seen it, I would encourage you not to watch it. Don't watch it because it's something you already experienced. You can go back to the, water hose and dogs being sicked on us back in the 60s and see the same cruelty being done, right? So it's nothing that we're praising,
go back
but
than that.
Yes, brother. It's nothing that we're praising, but I know, the objective of this is to help our youth, get over the angst that comes with that, because after a while, you almost become numb to it. You become numb to it because it's unfortunately, it's a socially accepted point of view for us to be looking at cops doing wrong to people of color, right? And remember, we had the brother in Baltimore years ago
Yeah.
that was arrested by cops and put in the back of the paddy wagon. And these dudes went, 4-wheel driving off road and jumping the Grand Canyon and all this stuff. And then the brother ends up breaking his neck, right? Those were black officers, right? So when we look at this, we realize it's not a racial thing.
Right.
Them towards us towards them. It's the race when it's them towards us, and no one's championing this cause for us to say, well, you need to lock up more white guys and drive them around or beat the shit out of them like you did with this brother, But if we saw it, when we do see those things happen, right? Because there's tons of videos of, young white kids being tased too, busting their head on the sidewalk as they go down. But in all, we know the sum of the matters is this is bad policy. This is not dealing with people as if they are humans too. And I shared a video with you guys yesterday, but a former Memphis officer who served with two of these officers said, this is a disgrace and what they did was wrong. And the bottom line is, it's still the do unto others as you would have them do unto you. You don't treat somebody in a way that you would not want yourself to be treated in, right? So,
or your kids.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So, when we're looking at this, again, we have to be slow to give opinions on stuff a lot of time because more facts come out, especially with, like the brother said, when misinformation comes out immediately. Oh, well, he worked at FedEx with the other cops X and, hey, you know what? I wasn't there. The bottom line is somebody is dead and if somebody else was the contributor to this person's death, right? And then I'm gonna touch on this and I'll pass it, because I don't want to hog the time. And this is a roundtable discussion, but there's three things that happen that are kind of like the magic behind how most things work in our society, right? You have symbolism, trauma, and repetition. And that's what we continually see. There's a symbolic thing that occurs, there's a trauma, and then there's repetition. In ancient societies, the symbolism may have been something like you get a scar, right? You get a tattoo, you get a piercing. That was the symbol. That was also the trauma because a shock was introduced to your system, right? And then the repetition, as you got older, there were like mile markers, right? So some of you are old enough to remember like when Manute Bol came to America and he started playing basketball, most of us looked at him like, this dude looked kind of awkward, man. Like, yeah, he might be 20 feet tall, but he don't even look like he can move, right? But then there was also a story that came along with him that I found amazing a little bit, which was, part of his trauma, repetition, and symbolism was for him to enter into manhood, he had to kill a lion, right?
Really?
So then I'm like, yeah, I'm looking at him a little differently. Like, oh, so Stickman can kill lions. Okay, now granted, the lion was probably in a cage and already, they gave him some wine or something. The lion was already intoxicated. But
ain't no way he gonna fight that lion and win.
There are things that happen in our lives that happen for that reason because we have cultural, markers, right? So for some people, when you turn 12, you might have a bar mitzvah. If you're a girl, you have a bat mitzvah. You had the tom thumb weddings when you were little kids, right? You have botillions and cotillions, the bells and the bows, the quinceañeras, right?
Yeah.
All of these are like cultural introductions to adulthood or the next upgrade in information, yada, yada, yada. On the flip side, we have shit like what just happened with this brother that's also done. And I'm not saying that like they acted on behalf of someone else. I'm saying the repetition, symbolism, and trauma is played out by Hollywood and the media where these things are constantly put in your face to keep you emotionally distraught, right? So we know Tamir Rice, all the people, right? Breonna Taylor, all of these
Sandra
Bland, yes, all of these
Eric
are injustices injustices that are sensationalized in the media to keep your soul, your spirit suppressed, and to keep your black ass in check. So with having said that, I want to pass it on to the next brother so we can keep this conversation rolling.
Yeah. Jack, what you want to contribute on that, man? Jump on it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I'll do, man. I'll continue on the systemic road for a second, man, and then I'll jump into some possible solutions, hopefully, and we'll go from there. On the systemic side, man, when you think back to the plantation during slavery times, whenever a slave escaped the plantation, they send the officers out to get them. You know what I'm saying? And bring them back by any means necessary. You know what I'm saying? Dead or alive. It don't matter. You go get that nigga, you bring that nigga back.
Right.
That's my nigga.
Right.
And it still, to a certain degree, seems like they're trying to keep you on the plantation for the most part. The way things are set up and aimed towards Black people. Being that, of course, we are the most brutalized, we are the most killed, you know what I'm saying, in terms of numbers and how often these things happen. It does happen to some other races as well. I was just looking at the news on yesterday, and there was an incident up north where white people were involved, and pretty much the same thing happened. So it's not necessarily a Black-white issue for the most part, but it is. In terms of numbers when it comes to Black people. And of course, here's my take, man, on systemic problems, right? If you look at the government, any government system around the world, there's basically some corruption in it, just like everything else. But the thing about it is you have some enthusiastic people out there who really want change to occur, right? And they get in office, man, and probably the first couple of years or so, you know what I'm saying, they're pushing real hard and lobbying and everything to get these laws instated, but after so long a period of time, because things have been going a certain way and we want to continue with the status quo, you know what I'm saying, or the system wants to continue with the status quo, either that person is pushed out or they become corrupt as well. And this is what happens a lot of times with the police force and all of that stuff as well. So it's going to take a whole lot of time, man, in order to actually bring about the necessary changes that need to come about. Now, talking about from a historic aspect, man, we're familiar with the Black Panther Party and how Huey P. Newton and those brothers basically went around policing the police because they were students of the law, understood the law, and whenever a police officer broke the law, they were willing to stand up, you know what I'm saying? And have that accountability, not only on the police, but show the fact that, hey, look, we're Black men, we're tired of being brutalized, we're tired of our family members being killed for no reason, this, that, and the other, winding up in the hospital, and all of those things. Now, again, to the tragic side of what happened, right? You had a young man lost his life, right? His father, they showed a picture of him with his baby. Baby done lost her father. 5 more officers on the other side, all Black. Families lost their father. You see what I'm saying? It's tragic, man. And we talk about Black Lives Matter, right? And we push the narrative, man. We get out there, we march, we do this, we do that. You know what I'm saying? To let people know, okay, look, we're tired of Black people being brutalized. But one thing we have to also understand is that in our communities, we have drugs being sold and all of these other things, man. And it brings the question to my mind, does Black lives really matter? Are we taking our own selves seriously? You know what I'm saying? And even in conjunction with that, right? The picture has been painted so much that young Black men are dangerous till we even begin to believe that ourselves. We listen to the lyrics and the rap songs and all of those things, man, and there are some neighborhoods that we try to stay away from, you know what I'm saying? Even as Black people, and it shouldn't be that we have to stay away from each other for any reason. You know, we should have no reason to fear one another, whether we are on a police force, whether we're walking down the street, you know what I'm saying, neighborhood gangs, whatever the case. If we could learn to protect ourselves, we'd be in a whole lot better situation. Also, now, again, with the solution thing, right? And the fact that Black people are fed up. There was a young brother named Micah Johnson in 2016, July 8th, killed 5 officers. You know what I'm saying? Former military veteran, just like us.
Yeah.
You know, he was fed up, man. He's like, look, I done had enough of you attacking the Black community. I'm about to do something about it. You know, a lot of people scorn that brother and this, that, and the other. But in my eyes, he was somewhat of a martyr. You know what I'm saying? Because he was willing to risk his life for what he believed in. Like, look, I've had enough. So at this particular point, man, we are still seeking peaceful solutions. So I went to my local police station on yesterday to talk to the chief. I didn't get the chief on yesterday. I got a representative, and they weren't really willing to go ahead and talk about starting some initiatives, you know, to reach out to the community. And my suggestion at that particular time, man, was to dispatching police officers to the local high schools and so on and so forth, to talk to people and let them know what's expected, how they can remain safe and calm when things like that happen, right?
Right.
So I'll be back in touch with that chief, and if not the chief, then the mayor, and we will be starting some local initiatives here in the part of Mississippi where I live. I urge and encourage, you know what I'm saying, you brothers do the same thing in your communities, man. And everybody that's watching or listening, you know, get out, man, talk to the people, mobilize. We have to come together as communities, as concerned Black fathers, as concerned Black mothers, and we have to have a town hall meeting, set up town hall meetings, do whatever is necessary in order for us to get a handle on this thing and do it peacefully. Now, of course, you know what I'm saying? If it comes to the point where we have to meet violence with violence, then hey, you know,
so be it.
At that time, we'll do whatever is necessary, man. You know, because of course that's that protective mentality within us. You know, and we all want America to continue to be one of the top places. You know what I'm saying? That's why we joined the Army. We were guys who not were just looking for financial gain, or, you know what I'm saying, a way out of the streets or whatever the case. We took the oath to be protectors. And as I look back on it, man, I've been a protector pretty much all my life. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't really mess with people who mess with me, but if you mess with one of my friends or somebody that was smaller, then hey, you know what I'm saying? I'll step in. You know, so that is our nature, man, to protect each other. You know, so with that being said, man, we can get into a few other things, you know, concerning this case.
I think you touched on something important, man, that we should be considering, you know, having that relationship built between police officers and the community. You know what I'm saying? There's some great police officers, man. I know personally myself, I know at least 6 police officers, you know, in different cities and states. And, you know, these brothers are good brothers. You know what I'm saying? People I know personally. They
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
have any ill will against the community or trying to do anything like that. Just trying to do their job to protect the citizens and stuff like that, what they're supposed to do, protect and serve, the citizens of that jurisdiction that they under, you know. But like you said, there's some knuckleheads in our community now that do things that they shouldn't be doing. And there's this, I guess this is it's a frustration that is boiled over a period of time, right? There's been too many instances where we've been on the wrong side of, the brutality. You know what I'm
Correct.
saying? Way too many instances. We just rattled off a lot of names, from Sandra Bland, Eric Gardner, you know what I'm saying? George Floyd, all the way through, and now, we have this new recent, situation. It's just like, when will it stop? When will it stop?
Exactly.
So what will get us to be able to stop this if we bridge that gap and come together to know? Because I remember when I was in school, Officer Friendly used to come by our school and visit us, and have a little speech or something. We used to have a little auditorium, and they bring all the kids out there, talk to Officer Friendly about, police officers and being, involved in the police force and all of this, that, and the third, to make it, where it's like, okay, the kids are not, to bring that humanistic perspective to it, to be like, okay, we are human beings, we're not just out here criminals or just, vagabonds, or just the value of life was being implemented. We have to value our lives over, and respect each other as human beings over the power that is given through the law. You know what I'm saying? So what is right? What is wrong? I'm not sure exactly what occurred during the incidents, but there's no justification as to why they beat that young man, Tyre Nichols, the way they did. There was no justification. Completely wrong.
Yeah. This is the thing that I wanted to bring up as well, man. In most of those incidents that occurred, right? Is it something that's planned initially, or is it something that a spur of the moment things just go awry? You know what I'm saying? And of course, you have to be an investigator or whatever, man, in order to be able to figure out the whole architecture of the thing and what happened to bring about this and what happened to bring about that, man. But if you just look at it point blank, you're like, okay, well, this was intentional. You know what I'm saying? This was the intent in the first place, especially in this last case. You know what I'm saying? Where they snatched the man out of his car, tased him, you know what I'm saying? Didn't give him an opportunity to explain anything, And according to all of the other evidence and stuff, man, it goes to, it's showing that, hey, okay, well, these guys targeted him from the beginning.
Yeah.
More is definitely going to come out during the case. Right now, the information is not as prevalent and flowing. Definitely, there's going to be more brought out during the case, during the trial, I'm sure, as to the reason why and what happened. But for me, it's just like you said, Kit, in the beginning, there's only a few, who have this mentality that they have this power, when they put the uniform on. When we was wearing BDUs in the Army, some people got that sense of, hey, I'm tougher because I wear this uniform. I'm tougher than what I really am. When you take it off, they really cowards. You know what I'm saying? But the mentality of the culture is like, okay, I'm in control. You have to listen to me and do what I say because I am the law. And then it's the same situation where you have people, because what's being implemented in the policy, what is being taught during training. You know what I'm saying? Remember, we used to have training in the Army. So it's like we always had training, how to handle situations, what to look for, what to identify, and then how are you supposed to respond? You know what I'm saying? So the training aspect of the police force has to be investigated. What type of training are they being implemented? How often are they being trained? Are they doing any assessments as far as like the surveys that are being occurred? What is the climate like? from the community? Can you go get some information from the community, running through surveys, you know, trying to find out what is the climate like in the relationship between the police patrol in that community and the citizens of that community. You know what I'm saying? So in the Army, they used to always have these climate surveys that they would do with the assessments, equal opportunity employees, you know what I'm saying, EEO. They would go out and do an assessment, have, hey, how y'all feeling? You know, are y'all been being treated fairly and equally by, you know what I'm saying, this, that, and the third. So it was a lot of policies and programs in place to keep a lot of that stuff in check. But I'm not sure if these police, you know, officers are being run that way, or if they're independently operated in each state. So each state has its own jurisdiction. Each state has its own policies and how they run things. And then depending on the culture of that area, you know, especially in the Deep South, you know, there's a systemic cultural thing where, you know, slavery had an impact on that. Because you touched on that in the beginning, Kid, when you said, you know, hey, look, slave patrol was the very prevalence of how we was going to bring, you know, the slaves back to ownership of the master. You know what I'm saying? The runaway slaves. So now that is instilled in the minds of those who are in law enforcement. You know, I have an obligation. I have an obligation to be able to control this area and bring things back into order. You know, so how do you do that? How is that being done? How's that conducted? So do you look at people as a human being first, give them the benefit of the doubt? You know, I know a lot of my police officers friends do that. You know, they give benefit of the doubt. They let a lot of stuff go that really don't need to be chased. You know, they tell me all the time, man, it's like everything doesn't have to be, you know, a battle. You know, certain things you could just let ride and it'll just settle down and it'll settle itself. You don't have to rise up and try to show this power and force. You know what I'm saying? But those are the smart police officers. You know what I'm saying? The ones who can recognize that, hey, they're human beings. They're going to make mistakes. Everybody still got to live. You know, we got drugs in the neighborhood. We get it. You know, everybody doing their thing. But long as it ain't escalating to a level where they doing, you know, major stuff like murder, shooting and all that stuff like that. Okay. Now you living and doing your thing or whatever, you moving around, doing your thing, police ain't going to bother you too tough. Not unless they have that mentality. You know, certain police officers have that mentality of, hey, I am the law. I got this uniform on. I got this gun on my hip. You know what I'm saying? You gotta listen to what I say. I'm in control. You know what I'm saying? So that mentality from that culture has to change. You know, just like when we was in the military, we had some who had higher rank, right? Remember that? So you had some with higher rank who thought they were better than those who had lesser rank. So when they walked around, they was like, hey, look at me. You got to listen to me because I'm, you know, Sergeant Major. You know what I'm saying? So you got to bow down to me because I'm first sergeant. You know what I'm saying? And you ain't nothing but a private. You know, so that you looking down on the individual and you devaluing them as an individual human being. You know, to me, I never looked at anybody's rank and gave a damn about it. You know what I'm saying? I always treated you like a human being first. Called you by your first name. Hey, yo, Kid, yo, Jack, what up? You know what I'm saying? I wasn't like, hey, Sergeant so-and-so, you know, not unless we was in a formal setting. You know what I'm saying? But
even with that, bro, look at like the nicknames that come, right? If you was first sergeant, we call you top, right?
Exactly.
If you were if you were cook, we call you spoon, right? Like it was always something to just kind of keep it like you're saying, man, to keep that human side of things at a norm, you know. And then I think too, we were definitely spoiled by the ancestors in a beautiful way because being that all of us, our first duty assignment was out of the country, right? You didn't go to Fort Knox, you didn't go to, you know, Fort Benning, you know, you didn't go to there first. You actually started off in foreign where it was already foreign. You're in another country, they speak another language. It made us soldiers stick together a lot tighter. And I am very grateful for the community, the family community that I was brought up in, you know, because who did we break bread with? We were single, man. We were single soldiers. But I tell you, I never went to Thanksgiving where I had to go to the mess hall. That was an option, right? But I didn't have to go to the mess hall. I was always invited to somebody's house. You know, I have very good big brothers and sisters that look out for me. And I know they did the same for you, brothers, you know, but I have very good, you know, family structure because like CMB, we all we got. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day,
all right.
yell out, you know, V Gates, but if I see, you know, he speak English, I'm gonna go polarize towards this person. And it wasn't a thing of race, even though we were in the midst of racism too. You know,
exactly. Yeah, because it was racism around us, man.
Yeah,
Racism
man,
around us with the Germans and the Turks.
With the German, with the Americans.
With the Americans
American
too.
soldiers, you know, when I first got there, my first couple of days, man, my sponsor Lazar took me over to the Ambassador Arms Hotel to show me that they had one of those, you know, like have you seen my dog type thing? You pull the phone number off the bottom of the paper, you know. On the post, they had to join the Klan and they had a phone number on there. And I was like, wow, like they got the Klan over here. And he was like, hey, man, you best believe it, right? So even in that, you know, it wasn't something that was in our faces, but it was an element that existed, you know. And, you know, also your brother spoke on earlier, that superlativeness that a lot of people have, you know, because power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? So, you know, when you have people who are not natural bone leaders, right? They're not, this isn't really who you are, it's something you were given. But, you know, you guys went to PLDC, you know, you went to primary leadership development. And, you know, even in there, you got to see the peers around you that are from different places. And you see, hey, this person is going to be kind of hand carried throughout their whole career because they're, you know, they're a functioning person on the spectrum. They may have some mental disabilities or some social inadequacies, right? Where they can have a speech impediment. I was in PLDC with a girl talk just like Elmer Fudd, man. And, you know, they were praying they make her first sergeant so she could parade west, right? Like at break time, you know, we all on break. They got this broad over here, you know. I thought I saw a wackly wabbit, you know, but that's how she taught, you know, and she was even laughing because back where she came from, everybody knew, hey, this chick, she can't say, you know, W's too well. She can't pronounce R's well, right? So they compensated for that by not making fun of her. But now that you're around people who don't know you, they're doing it in a way that, it's kind of like, you know, as a comedian, we oftentimes tell self-deprecating jokes, right? I'm gonna tell a joke where I'm the butt of the joke, right? But it's also kind of showing you that I'm human by doing that. So with her, it was something that, you know, I thought it was funny as hell, right? But, you know, having said that, it's still like kind of like the family structure, and that exists in fire department, it exists in the medical field, it exists right anywhere where you put a group of people together. You got people in charge, people that ain't in charge, people that have various duties, you know, just like in the service we had officers, we had non-commissioned officers, we had warrant officers, right? Everybody had their lane, but when you put them all together, it's how do they jive, you know, how are these people getting along? So yes, you know, again, Sean, I applaud you. Jack, I applaud you, you know, because you guys are in contact with people, you know what I mean? And I do too. You know, every day I'm in here too, you know, I have a different lane, but, you know, I talk to police officers and the whole shebang too. And, you know, just to tap on that, I know some were invited to do the podcast, but kind of in their defense, they're not really allowed to talk about it because it's not in their department. And if it was, you know, they can't say jack, right? But a former officer will tell you this is not what's supposed to go down. This was wrong. This was wrong. So, you know, in the end, we all know, this was wrong. And fortunately, justice, the first rotation of the wheel of justice has already come around because these pigs were picked up and they're in the place where they should be for the rest of their natural born lives, right? We know that also needs to be expanded beyond that, you know? So when we talk about like police reform, this is what we're talking about. You know, we're talking about taking people who You know, I mentioned in our chat throughout the week, you know, that that kind of field attracts a lot of sycophants, you know, and a lot of psychopaths, right?
Right.
But it's just like Rihanna said with racism, right? It's not on us to fix y'all perspective. It's on you to fix how you deal with us, you know.
Right.
And as a community, we should require the utmost respect from our public servants, right? And again, it's in the
Yes.
verbiage, because I'm clear to point out to a cop, man, you a servant. You're
Right.
my servant. I'm the public, and you serve me. So be careful on how you speak to me, right? And
Right.
when you
Right.
put yourself in that more of like control, like, hey, man, what's going on? How can I help you? You know, we have people out here, Sean and I were talking about like the Moors, you know, but we have people out here who don't even have the verbiage down, but be the first ones trying to jump up. You know, I constitute myself as a sovereign citizen, you know, because you're dealing with me under the laws of admiralty, and therefore I exclude myself from the, like, okay, know what
I
the
was
fuck you
ready, bro.
talking
I was
about,
ready.
right? But see, you knew what to say to get out of a situation, right?
Yeah.
That wasn't one that you weren't gonna go to jail for anyway, right? It's just jury duty, right? But you know, like, it's the respect thing, you know what I mean? Like, if you show respect, you're gonna give respect, right? And I've, you know, as a youth and to an audience, you know, it gets better as you get older. You know, we may have said this before, but I went from being a baby G to a G to this right here. I walk in
Right.
a liquor store, oh, what's up, OG? And I'm like, damn. But then I had to think about it. I am old enough to be your daddy. And by the way, what's your mama name? Because you kind of got that ring,
Right.
right? So, you know, we know that because we three brothers can attest to being that mark. We know we have been the one that a cop singled out because I'm a young black man. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no other way
Right.
to put it. As you get older,
Right.
it actually changes, you know, and then they're like, oh, well, he's not a threat. So, you know, in hindsight, you kind of look back and go, okay, so when I was, you know, 15 to 25, I fit into a demographic that this is what they're policing for. They're policing for, back in the 90s when I got out of the military, the gangster uniform, sagging jeans, long nightshirt looking t-shirts, right, all the way down to your knees, right? Like,
Yeah.
so it was easy to find.
Chucks.
Yeah.
Don't forget the Chucks now.
Yeah, I still rock the Chucks though, baby. But yeah, you still, you know, it was easy to pick out who banging, who the gangster, the guys with the uniform on, right? He's got the uniform, right?
Right.
Then over the years, you know, you'll hear us
Right.
complain about it. But it's just me, you know, busting people's chops. But over the years, you know, the jeans got tighter, and you know, they look like they was painted on. But the gangster was still sagging. And I'm like, dude, you know, in my day, we wore boxers. This guy got on, you know, boxer briefs, and he's sagging, and he's got a tight
Right.
fitting shirt on. And I'm like, dude, this is all wrong, right? But then
Yeah.
I'm also looking at
Mhm.
him going, but he got the new gangster uniform on, right? I'm not
Right.
dressed like this cat. So what's the likelihood of somebody running in here going, yeah, there was a guy that committed a crime? They're going to look at him. They're not going to look at me, right?
Right.
Now, there are other things like the way you wear your hair, right? I'm pro-black, so trust me, I done had locks until I couldn't grow them no more, right?
Right.
I'm an advocate of you doing you, always 100%, right? You do you. Just be aware of who you're interacting with. And what I'm speaking of is law enforcement and other agencies, right? That can land your ass in the pokey. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's nothing wrong for checking them. Yeah, how can I help you? As soon as you see them, hey,
Right.
good evening. How you doing? How can I
Right.
help you? That gets them the fuck on into what they need to be doing and out of your goddamn face, right?
Right.
But I just wanted to drop that. You know, we've been that demographic before. So I fit into that category of young black man, tinted windows, music too
Yeah.
loud. You know, all of those things, right? All of that. Listen, I'm a phone dude, right? Like, by trade, I've been climbing poles and manholes, all this stuff, 25, 26 years now, right? There were
Yeah.
times where I'm doing my job. I'm in uniform, right? I got the hard hat, everything. they still call the cops on me, right?
Mm.
And it was funny because, you know, here I come down from the pole and turn around, you know, little white lady across the street with her hands behind her back, and she points like, there he is, right? And the cops just look and smile, and they're like, ma'am, he's doing his job. But he didn't ask for permission to go back there. But we have, you know, easement rights, right? And we go through this whole shebang, right? And after a while, it just became like, really, like, you think the cops gonna do something, right? The cops ain't gonna do nothing to me. I wish you would call the police. Go ahead and call them, right?
Right.
So, you know, having said that, yeah, I know, you know, as a people, we're stronger than anything, right? This is also why this bullshit happens to you so often, because it's really about your black ass. Everything that's going on right now stems from the mind of the black man and the black woman. Do your research. This is facts, right? If we were the first of everything, all of this is just a repeated thing of what your mind conceived anyway, right? So in that, you know, my condolences to the brother and his family, but we know he better off than all of us right now, right? He ain't in this shit no more, right? So him is good. Him is good. We're the ones that still have to, you know, be here and
in the matrix. Yeah, we still in the matrix.
Yeah, we still going through, you know, trying to make it out of the swamp and all this other stuff. So, you know, we know that, you know, ultimately that brother is better off. But for those of us that are still here, you know, this was something that he was the victim of. I don't care what he did. I don't care how bad he may have disrespected the cops or whatever else, you know, idiotic excuses that people who are just sycophants and like to see people ruthlessly murder for nothing. Because that's the mentality of someone who can't look at this and go, this was an inhuman situation. You know, they treated this brother with no humanity, right?
Right. Exactly.
When we
hopefully, man, that's to be a catalyst for change.
I believe so. I believe so.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't pass the George Floyd Act. It ain't gonna pass this time, but this is what we're talking about. This is why we say, you know, this act of policing the people, you know, the new slave catchers, right? I know the first time when y'all was in basic training, you heard this, remember you had to do, what was that called? Police call?
Police call,
right?
Yeah. Like, what the hell
weird.
is that?
You're like, what? What is police call?
What the hell is
You
that?
gotta go around and pick up your own trash. Oh man, you know, you say police where I'm from. Don't be I know I'm in the military, but don't be calling no police up here.
Don't call the police on me. Yeah, who gonna call the police? Why you gonna call the police?
You learn the alternate meaning of words also. You know, you realize, oh, police ain't just the jump out boys, right? Police is when I go around and I pick up my own trash, right? So to a large degree, that's how I view police. You know, you're here to pick up the trash, man. You don't go, you're the trash man. You're the trash man. You Charles Dutton, right? You the Rock.
Right.
Like, go pick up the cans, man. Like, what you doing over here, right? And leave me alone. Right. Go ahead, Jack. You was gonna say something, bro?
Yeah, hey man, you know, I was just gonna circle back, man, to what Sean said about training, man, and some of the aspects of the mentality that they get into. Of course, you know, initially, you know, I wanted to be a police officer for a brief second, man, and went through, you know, all of the testing and all of that stuff, man. They do a psychological test and all of these things. They should frequently do psychological tests, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To see if they are still worthy of being on the police force. You know what I'm saying? Because of course we know that, again, corruption, man, is already there. And the possibility of you coming in the right way, wanting to do everything right, and then being corrupted is there. You know what I'm saying? So in order to check up on that element of things, man, they have to continue to do the psychological test randomly, just like they did the urination test, man, when we were in the military.
That's right.
So on and so forth. You know, just to see, man, you know, again, if that person is still worthy of being out on the street, or should he be moved to a desk job, or whatever the case may be. You know, because of course, you know, if you're exposed to a certain thing for so long of a period of time, man, like you said, you become numb to it. It becomes the norm for you. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, okay, well, hey, this is how things roll. This is how I'm rolling with it. You know, and
you know what, bro?
hopefully,
You know what,
man, we can use that as a tool to put an end to all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Also, man, you reminded me of an interesting conversation that I had as a young private, man, with one of my favorite NCOs now, Sergeant Allen, man.
Yes.
You know, we had an issue where I didn't get my paycheck, man. And I was like, hey, look, I'm going to finance. If I don't get paid, I don't care if don't nobody else get paid. You know what I'm saying? But Sergeant Allen said to me, he says, no, you're going to go sit down and you're going to cut those promotion orders. I said, okay. He said, I am a Staff Sergeant in the United States Army, you're a PLC. I said, look, Sergeant Allen, I'm a man, you a man. I'm going to take care of my business. When I get back, we'll talk to First Sergeant. And I left, went to finance, got my stuff straight, man, came back, sat down at my desk, did my job. You know. And the thing about it, man, of course, when someone is trying to seem like bully you or whatever the case, you have to know what your rights are, and you have to always remember, regardless, I'm a man.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So deal with me like a man. I know
Respect.
you're in control. You know what I'm saying? I know you're in control. I know, you know what I'm saying? That this is your job. You deal with this on a number of bases. I remember one time, man, I was playing basketball at a park, and guy tried to steal my truck, man. So he came and he stole my keys. You know, normally I keep my keys clipped to me, man, but that day my clip broke and I sat him down. That just brought me a brand new Dodge Ram, man. And brother tried to steal my truck. So what I did was, of course, I wasn't going anywhere as long as my truck was there, because I knew somebody had the keys and they were coming back to my truck. You know what I'm saying? So a bunch of the guys, man, that were out shooting with me, you know, they're like, hey, Reb, we got your back, man. We're going to be right here with you. You know what I'm saying? But as long as somebody was there, they didn't come back. So, man, I was out there till probably about 2 o'clock in the morning. You know what I'm saying? It was a rough neighborhood, man. They had drugs and all of that stuff going on. So, you know, I called the police, man. One of the guys called the police for me, man. And they finally came. But when they came, they were attacking me.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm like, look, I called you personally.
Yeah.
You the one called them, and then you get jacked up, hemmed up.
Exactly, because somebody's trying to steal my truck. Oh no, you out here trying to buy drugs. Blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, okay. And then his supervisor came on the scene, you know what I'm saying? And he was basically talking the same way. But it just so happened, man, that while we were there, right, the little guy had sent one of his friends, man, with the key to get your truck, right? And the boy dropped the key. And he had dropped it by a tree, you know. And I was like, hey, man, look, you come over here to get my truck, didn't you? And he was like, no, such and such. I can't even remember the boy name, man. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? And he said, he probably dropped your key up there by that tree. So I walked up there by the tree, man, and picked up my key, you know, when I cranked my truck up and stuff, you know, told the officers, man, thank you. You know what I'm saying? You didn't do anything. You didn't do anything but harass me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But thank you.
Yes.
You
know, there's some
things. Of course, man. Like I said, I understand that, you know what I'm saying? It's a bad community, so on and so forth. But there's a way to approach every situation, man, and still treat people with respect.
No doubt. No doubt. I think too, for us, because we're veterans, you know, we expect more out of like law enforcement officers, right? I've always expressed that to them. Look, man, I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I didn't do the things that I did to come back here and be treated like some peon by a mark. You know, like I just
yeah.
Hey, dude, like, look, you know, my shit was different. You know, once I said I do, I took my oath. I went out. It don't matter. don't matter. I took an oath to do this. And the same as you. Nobody drafted you to be a cop. You know, you chose this profession. So all of that little, you know, sissy, oh, I was afraid for my life shit. And, you know, look, dude, this is the job you took. You chose to do this.
You chose it. Right.
And there are other things within the department that you don't have to be a foot soldier. You don't have to be out here facing the community. If you're so afraid of the people that you are out here to protect and serve, there's something wrong with you. You know, and I've always had a problem with, I live in a community being policed by people not from the community.
Right.
This was something that was highly expressed, you know, when I was younger, where there was a push for those that were interested in law enforcement from the community getting in those positions because you're from here, you know. And I'm not here to encourage anyone to do anything deviant, but if you are a law-abiding citizen that want to make a change, the only way to change it is to be involved in the change, you know. I'm not telling you to become a police officer. You know, if you're a feature of this show, I will support your black ass because you got some sense in your show.
Correct.
So I know we shouldn't have any, you know, psychopaths on here, but, you know, just understand, like the brother's been expressing, you know, there's a psychological evaluation that still should be ongoing, you know, especially, and this happens, a cop goes out here, as soon as you shoot your first person.
I think they do that. I think they do that. They put them in some type of administrative leave and take them. They have to go through
you got to go
through testing and psyche evals and all of that stuff like that occur because that's a traumatic situation. You know,
the problem
for them
is
to be able
cats
to
know
do.
how to people know how to fake the funk. You know what to say in order to pass.
Right. How to get past that
in order to pass, and if you don't pass. Unfortunately, because, you know, there's very strong resistance from the police union and the national database for police that commit offenses. You know, this is something that's been pushed for the past 30 years that I'm aware of, you know, where there has been this galvanized, you know, force saying, look, there should be a national database other than what the one in the FBI has. FBI has a national database. But what should happen is you have a police officer that works in one city, one little town, one province, one parish, and he or she does something that gets them booted from the force, right?
Right.
In most cases, all they do is go to the next town, parish, city, county next to them.
Right down the street. Down the street.
We can't really blame anybody but the quote unquote system. Well, the system is rigged to work in your favor because you already fit the paradigm of somebody that we want. You're 400 pounds, you know, you're 6'12", you're aggressive, right? You don't even need the battle ram to break the door down. Tell this nigga to put his foot on there. It'll just fall over.
And it can fit fall over.
Yeah, Billy Bob corn-fed ass, right? So, you know, we know some people, just their physical is what makes them attractive to recruiters or other law agencies too. Are like, oh yeah, they fit the description of beady eyes, bald head, you know, caveman, gorilla arms, right? He fixed the perfect picture of what we want a police officer to look like to be intimidating.
Yeah,
but dude open his mouth and, you know, he a falsetto, right? Yeah.
And see, that goes back to stereotypes, right? So the stereotypical young black male, you know, Tupac used to always say it all the time. You know, what is the stereotype of a young black male? Ice Cube used to always say the same thing. You know what I'm saying? We listen to the hip hop back in the day, but during our growing up, you know, we had, like you had mentioned before, the uniform. The uniform per se was what we wore in our cultural generation, our generational culture. Everybody had their own thing, you know, bell bottoms, you know, afros, you know what I'm saying? We came through with the baggy clothes, you know what I'm saying? Our generation X. Now they got the skinny jeans, you know, so everybody has their own cultural, you know, generational style that they have. But that puts on a certain stereotype to a certain demographic of people in their mind state from the programming that is being pushed by television and movies and all of that stuff like that, that these people are you know, criminals or bad or, you know, up to no good. You know, like you got, you know, you was doing your job and here come the old little white lady. That goes all the way back to slavery. You know what I'm saying? Here go this slave that is a runaway now, you know, and we got to put them back in order and stuff like that. So the slave patrol, the police, when they first started in the 1700s, Carolina, had to bring them back. You know, so the stereotype of the black male, you know, I could tell you a story what happened to me in Germany. And I got drew down on by 6 police. They pulled their guns on me. Boom. I was on my way. I missed chow. And I was on my way running late, you know, because Jay and them left me. Right. So I was at the barracks getting dressed and everything. They left me, went to the mess hall. So I'm like trying to hurry up and catch up with them. I go to the main gate. You know what I'm saying? And they was like, freeze, get out now, get on your knees right now, freeze, get out. I kept walking like, what the hell going on, man? They tripping. So they was like, get out now. 6 more surrounding me. So they put me on my knees and stuff. This happened like right during the end of day. You know what I'm saying? Everybody leaving off work about 4:30, 5 o'clock, right? And I'm like, damn, what the hell going on? So I had on a black Adidas jogger suit, black Adidas, all black. So I'm just sitting there, you know, walking around, you know, here I am. I ain't, I'm just going to the mess hall. You know what I'm saying? They pulled their guns out on me, got me down on my knees, cuffed me up, put me on the side of the curb. You know what I'm saying? And they was like, kept me there for like 30, 45 minutes, didn't tell me nothing what was going on. Put me in the car, right? In the back of a paddy wagon, handcuffed. They walked me into an establishment. They drove me around the corner, which wasn't too far from the barracks, you know, where we was at. Took me to a bar, and it was this old white German sitting there, you know, in the chair, crying. He was bloodied up. He had blood running on the side of his head. He was bloodied up. 2 white police officers had my arms, both, one on the right and on the left, walked me up to this man and said, is this the one who did it?
Yeah.
I'm like, the fuck? Wait a minute. So the old white German dude, he had his head down, he was looking, he crying and shit. He looked up at me and he said, nine. Now, mind you, if this man had vengeance in his heart, if he was like, I don't give a damn who it is, it was his black ass. You know what I'm saying? I was gone. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And you know the reason why they took my black ass down there? Because I fit the description.
Yep.
Exactly.
I fit the description. And there was no trial, no damn, no arrest, no charges, nothing. So the bar was fucked up. Somebody robbed the bar. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? They wouldn't explain shit to me. Nothing. They just, once the dude said 9-9, they took my black ass, put me back in the car, took me back to the front of the gate where I was at. Didn't say, I'm sitting in the back seat like, hey, man, anybody gonna tell me what the fuck going on? Hey, man, this some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I'm pissed off because they the first, number one, they put me in a predicament where my freedom could have been jeopardized over some shit I didn't do. And I'm sitting there thinking, trying to figure out who saw me leave the barracks. I'm trying to find this was before cell phones. Okay. Wasn't no damn, hey, I'm gonna call, you know what I'm saying, real quick. None of that. This before cell phone. So I'm trying to find that, you know, person who witnessed me walk out that damn barracks, you know what I'm saying? So they can know. And I'm like, damn, wasn't nobody around. So I'm like, shit, this man had malice in his heart. He would have been, he told the truth. He's like, no, that's not him. But had he not, and he was seeking revenge, that was it for my black ass. You see what I'm saying?
You know what too, bro? Is like, you probably look like his grandson, but but also remember, like, you know, and this is another reason why, like, I think we expect more out of public servants, right? Because we were under Uniform Code of Military Justice, baby.
Yeah.
You know, we were under that UCMJ. Like, it's not the same as what you people out here was going by, right? So with us, there was always like a consciousness of, hey, I got to be aware because I'm not judged by the same law that these people are judged by, right? And you witnessed that where as a civilian, it wouldn't have been the same way, you know, but because they know, oh no, we heard his dog chains, you know, clanging while he was running. We know he one of ours, right?
Right.
He coming on the base. We know he's one of ours. So you don't have no rights until, you know, we determine was this him or not him.
Right.
Out here in the so-called free world, right? It's not necessarily that way. And it's always, oh, well, you know, we don't went from, oh, he whistled at me. He batted his eyes at me to, I think that they did this, right? But the outcome is still the same. You still treat it like Emmett Till rising power. You still treat it like everybody else, regardless, because you're automatically presumed innocent.
Guilty. No, you're presumed guilty. If you're in this melanin skin, you are presumed you're presumed guilty. The stereotype in this country and all over the world that Black Africans are guilty. You know, up to no good, wicked and evil, you know, just killers and murder. So that mentality goes then with the police officer who's being trained to protect these people in this area. So they're looking at you as a threat already from the top. You got strike one.
The only Blacks that got it as bad a reputation as the African in North America is Nigerians, you know?
Yeah,
they know for scams, right?
Yeah,
but
they scammers.
The rest of us, man, like, nah, man, you know, especially like back in the 80s, you know, you guys, you know, when you watch like action movies, right? The villain changed based on who America hated. Right. So in the 80s, they was fighting Central Americans, you know, they was fighting Russian, Rambo killing all the Russians, they fighting the Colombians, fighting the Cubans, right?
In the jungle.
In the 90s, oh, everybody that got a towel on his head or wearing a turban became an enemy, right?
Muslims, and
it evolved over time, you know, like each time that they say, oh, no, this is who our enemy is, then you start seeing it in the movies too, right? Well,
TV shows.
All of that, your Black ass still been public enemy number one, right? It didn't
number
change.
one.
Exactly.
That's what that's what Chuck D said. Public enemy number one. I vote say freeze. And you got no.
Hey man, look, y'all talked about the gear, you know what I'm saying? That was associated with gang members and so on and so forth, right? Down south, well, actually in my small town, we didn't really have that. So if it was 3 or more young Black men together,
that was a gang.
It was a gang.
You know, hold on, wait a minute.
So they
went straight that was the definition of a gang back then for them.
Yeah,
like, man, come on. You know, you got 500 white guys over there, you know what I'm saying? Young white guys hanging out.
Well, they just reading the Bible over there. They reading the Bible.
No, those are the real gangsters, though. Them the real gangsters over there with the white collars on and wearing ties. They get away with millions of dollars of fraud.
Honestly.
Yeah, that stereotype is real.
Yeah.
And see, we gotta break those stereotypes, man. We gotta break that stereotype, and the police gotta break those stereotypes from the culture of policing. And that's why bridging the gap, coming to the schools, like you said, Jack, coming to the schools and talking to the kids and talking to them about their culture, what clothes they like to wear, you know, what styles they like to do, you know what I'm saying? Different things that they do as a generation, a young generation, because each generation have their own style. Right. Yeah. So you got to distinguish between who's doing wrong and then who's just fitting in to the culture. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Everybody who's, you know, dresses a certain way is not a criminal or a threat, you know, or someone is doing wrong, you know, just because you wear, you know, saggy jeans or whatever like that, which I don't agree with. You know, I don't agree with no saggy jeans, but that's just their thing. You know, that's what they do. You know what I'm saying? So that's the culture, and the police got to understand that. And I'm pretty sure they do. But like you had mentioned, Kid, there's some that come into it that are not a part of our culture, and they hiring them to come in and police in this area with no clue of what the culture is like and what it's like and what it's about. So they come in with a natural stereotype of what they think it is based on the generalization that they've been taught from TV, movies, and you know, programming and stuff that they read or talking to their neighbors and all that type of stuff. So there's already a misconception of Black people and who we are and what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? And then this is straight tragically unfortunate that we have 5 Black police officers. That's the crazy part to me. 5 Black police officers beat down 1 Black male, you know, unarmed Black male. And that's insane to me. I don't understand that. Like, how can you not know the code? You know what I'm saying? How do you not know the code? I mean, if you want to, you know, one person you want to square up, okay, that's a fair fight, man to man. Let me take this belt off. You know what I'm saying? If you had a beef with dude, you know what I'm saying? We're going to knuckle up, me and you, one-on-one. You know, and that's in our community, in the culture, we know that's a fair one. You know, you're going to give me a fair one, what's up? You know what I'm saying? All right, I go fair, square up, one-on-one. Let the best man win. But 5, come on, man. That's some, man. Yeah. That's, well, man, I don't want to say what I want to say. I want to say, that's not. And then for them,
I worked in the Department of Corrections for a while, man. You know what I'm saying? And we were taught a number of things, man. We were taught how to identify gang members by the tattoos and things of that nature, man. Just because the brother was tatted up and all of that stuff doesn't necessarily mean that he was in the gang. You know what I'm saying? You had to know the exact markings of each individual gang and things of that nature. Also, when it came down to, like you were saying, man, subduing an individual, you know what I'm saying? Now, if it took more than one officer to subdue an individual, then it took more than one. But for
this
the
boy
most part, man,
this boy probably weighed about $150 soaking wet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying that was right by any means. No, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes it does take more than one individual. However, in that particular case, man, what they did to him was inhumane. You know what I'm saying? They beat that man for no reason. And we see that happen a lot of times, you know what I'm saying? Where they could easily subdue an individual, but instead they choose to beat him. You know, and you know, I guess there's that natural fight thing, you know what I'm saying? But then as once somebody hit us, then hey, we ready to hit back. You know, so in some cases, man, I can see that, you know what I'm saying, playing a part in it. But at the same time, still, you have to exercise that self-control, man, to know what you're trying to accomplish. You know what I'm saying? And what you're trying to accomplish is definitely not killing anybody. You know what I'm saying? You want to subdue that individual, get them under control, and then return them to wherever, you know what I'm saying, they need to go. If you need to take them to jail, take them to jail. If you need to let them cool off and then go on about their business, let them cool off and go on about their business. Whatever the case is, you don't want to go to the extreme of actually killing anybody or brutalizing anybody. You know what I'm saying? That's horrible, man. Something got to click in your mind about what you're doing and what your job is perceived as. Like I said, I did private security, man, for a while, and you know, that thing that y'all said in regards to the uniform kind of puffing your head up a little bit, maybe once or twice, but not to the point where I got out of hand with anybody. But I did let them know, look, in this particular setting and situation, what you're doing is not right. So I need you to either exit or I'll escort you out. It's up to you.
Right.
Yeah. And you know, but I always approach things, man, from a professional standpoint, right? Even when I was working as a club bouncer, man, you know what I'm saying? There were some guys that were out of control or whatever the case. So I went over, man, and I just whispered in your ear, hey, I need you to follow me, bro. You know what I'm saying? So once I do that, right, they walking behind me, I get to the door, hey, look, you're not gonna be able to come back in because you caused a disturbance. You know what I'm saying? Boom, easy.
Right.
Easy as pie. You know what I'm saying? But then, of course, you know, you got that joker that you're gonna have to put hands on.
That's gonna take it too far.
Right,
yeah. One that's gonna take it too far.
Let me put you in this chokehold.
Right.
Let me put you in the chokehold. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And get you on up out of here.
Yeah, go on, take a nap. Go on, take a nap. Sit
I
it
don't know
on
if you
down.
guys,
Yeah.
you know, and I almost hate to mention
yeah,
it, but I'm gonna try to bring it back into like what Jack was saying too, right? Like, you know your point of view, or you should be at least aware of what my angle is, right? They just released some footage of cops out here in LA that shot a this don't even make no goddamn sense, right? They shot a homeless dude with no legs that was running away on his stubs that was swinging a knife, right? When I saw the video, you know, and part of me was like, they can't be real, man. This dude is running on his thighs because he ain't got nothing from the knees down. That's all gone.
Right.
This dude is like on his thigh meat,
running,
with a Jason knife, running.
Wow.
And they shot and killed him. And I'm like, okay, really, dude? Like this is like over the top shit, right? Like, first of all, he ain't gonna get so far, right? He only got 1/3 of the legs that you have. Y'all could have just walked up and kicked this dude and he would have been out. You know what I'm saying? It's that kind of boldness that when we see that in cops, and you know, like Jack said, you see it in security guards too. There's tons of videos of security guards that have been over the top to where when the cops show up, the cops got to tell the security, like, dude, you
right, slow down. Yeah.
Like you're
you doing too
wrong.
much. Right.
You doing too much top flight security of the world, right?
Right.
You got a lot of day-days out here, man. It's a lot of
the world, Craig.
Sorry for this, Craig. Oh, sorry for this, Craig. Right? It's a lot of top flight security of the world out here, man. It's a lot of rent cops out here, right? And then there's a lot of good men and women in law enforcement, and we thank you and appreciate those of y'all that's doing the right shit. All we ask that you police your partners who do not behave correctly, right? Because
police your people, man. Talk to them.
You know, there's a lot of speculation and hype that goes out here, you know, when we talk about like groups that say, you know, we got to start policing our own community, right? Because y'all ain't doing a good enough job. If I was the chief of police, I would be terrified if the community came and said, well, you know what, we're going to have to do this ourselves because you're doing a bad job, right? Well, then what am I going to do then? What job am I going to have? I'll be right out. What do you need me to do? What do we need to do to better facilitate the community? Because, you know, when we look at things like the civil unrest that went down after George Floyd, right? I'm gonna be honest with you. I was proud of the youth out here in Los Angeles because you know what they did that they didn't do in Rodney King? They went over to Beverly Hills to the west side and tore that motherfucker up. They didn't tear up the neighborhood that they live in. So I can't be mad at you and be like, well, because, you know, we're anti-violence. I don't, you know, promote, you know, theft, but you know, how much you want from them, Jordan? You know, it was more like, oh, you got the clothes at his house? I'm on my way, nigga. You know, yard sale again. You got another yard sale, right? But we shouldn't have to have it get to the point where it escalates to civil unrest, right? And I don't know if you guys have noticed, a lot has calmed down since that hypocritical moment of January the 6th, right? When civil unrest happened in the Capitol, right? And y'all trying to disturb Congress. And I don't know if anybody really paid attention. I ain't saying we ain't had no riots. I'm just saying they ain't really been advertising no civil unrest since the big one where it was like, see, this is civil unrest. Everything else was just niggas upset. But this is civil unrest. They talking about hang Pence, right? They trying to kill Pelosi, right?
Yeah.
So
her husband.
That part too, right? Hammer time on him, man.
How many of those people lost their lives?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
How many was it? 2?
How many they had weapons? How many of them got shot?
One.
You see what I'm saying?
I think it was one. One got shot, right?
A badass former disgruntled Marine.
But you look at how many people were out there.
Yes.
And then you look at this one black man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you got an instance, man, where people are coming in with a show of violence. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And if they got a show of violence, then how are you gonna meet that show of violence? That how should you? You see what I'm saying? But then you got people who are non-violent, you know what I'm saying, in a non-violent situation, and you brutalize them.
Right.
You know. So we have to look at the entire picture all the way around, man. But again, we got to be proactive instead of reactive.
Yeah,
we got to get out into our communities, man. We got to talk to our city officials. We got to talk to our police officers. You know what I'm saying? Mayors, whomever we can get the ear of and an audience with, man, and try to get the necessary changes brought about so that they can stop this stigmatism, increase the training, and all of those things that are necessary to ensure people's safety. You know what I'm saying? Not just black people, but again, all people, but especially black people.
Yeah.
Now, what y'all think about the Kamala Harris claims trying to say Congress needs to do policy changes with the law? You know what I'm saying? For police reform.
Let me make one quick statement on that, right? There was a Proposition 8, whatever I think it was, that talked about gay marriage. You know what I'm saying? It disappeared for a second, then it came back and boom, it was approved. So they can approve whatever they want to approve in whatever amount of time they want to approve it.
Yep.
That's all I got to say about that.
I'll chime in with that one too. You know, how dare she, former prosecutor Kamala Harris, say that Congress needs to do more when you the second in command, right? You're the second in command, lady. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Bingo.
And let's not be deceived. You know, this is a black woman. She's a black woman. You know, your mom is East Indian, your daddy Jamaican, you a nigga. Right? That's what we say, nigga, please. Nigga, you in the house. You know, but we know they have to say that, you know, the customary things need to change, you know, the same way bobblehead ass Al Sharpton showed up there.
Yeah, he was.
Right? I'm surprised Jesse Jackass didn't show up, you know.
Like they done with him.
A puppet. Yeah. Since he done had 5 more babies since that last one, right? They, you know, but our figureheads and our leaders, are often laughable, you know, and the bottom line is just the same as the saying, know yourself, you know, for the youth, you know, you got to be your own leader, be a leader in your household, be a leader of self, you know, be a leader to your children, you know, be a leader to your family, you know, that's who you owe this shit to. You don't owe it to anybody but yourself. You know, it's the same way where, you know, big ups to all our educated black men and women in this country. But when we look at it, who is the most overqualified and highly educated in this country? It's the black woman first.
Yes.
Then it's the black man, right? Because our generation grew up watching the Cosby Show. You grew up watching Different World. You were told, go to school, get an education, get a good job, right? And then we saw the hypocrisy of that as things went along the way. But it's also a point where we know that the political system in this country is biased against highly educated people. This is why they didn't like your black ass when they dropped you off them slave ships, by the way. So anybody that has a stigma about our enslaved ancestors realize they didn't take dummies.
No, they took the best of the best.
Took mathematicians.
The best of the best.
Took your doctors. They took the best of the best to enslave them. That's how all this shit was built. Right?
That's right.
And then in 1863, with the Emancipation Proclamation that didn't come to fruition or its final realization until June 1865, 1863, they said, oh shit, we got to pay these people that built all of this for free now? I don't know. So what happened?
That's going to be our next conversation, reparations.
Yes. But, you know, there was an influx of PWTs from Europe, right? So we got an influx of Sicilians, of other Italians,
and they was the poor, the lowest of the lowest class.
That's what I said. PWT.
Right? Yeah.
We talk about systemic corruption, right?
Yes.
America was built by criminals from the beginning.
Definitely.
You know
it was
what
a
I'm
slave
saying?
colony, prison colony.
The exiles that were sent over here, it was about 90,000 exiles, criminals, you know what I'm saying, from England that were sent to the colonies to colonize, you know what I'm saying? They settled in Jamestown. You know, so hey,
all of them
it's been a system of corruption from the beginning.
From the beginning,
but, you know what I'm saying? It has some good things just like it has some bad things, man.
No doubt.
But I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. And what I was alluding to was the fact that the answers are within your black asses, right? The answer is within you, because you are the people who, there is nobody more American than the African and American. I'm sorry. As well as our Aboriginal people, those that were already here, and those that mistakenly get called indigenous, right? Because Aboriginal and indigenous are not really the same, but our indigenous brothers and sisters, those of us of Aboriginal descent, right? Those that are products of the kidnapping and enslavement, right, of West Africans, right? And realize that like only 1/3 of us is, only 1/3 of our makeup is the slave trade. The other 2/3 is niggas that was already here, plus whomever else we may have commingled with. A lot of us have, you know, great grandparents that came here from the West Indies to North America, you know. So it's I don't want anybody to walk away with some kind of stigma, you know, or feeling bad about themselves. No, your black ass is number one. Everybody else is number two, as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
But there's a humanism that comes along with this that is part of your innate spirituality that we are, just going back to the original topic, we are as equally appalled, if not more appalled, by what these black officers did than we were when it was other people to us.
That's right.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
it's more shameful because now all of that black on black crime, you know,
is out the window.
This is right. But if this was the original sin, was murder, then we were the original people. We've been doing this. We've been doing this to each other. This is how some of us ended up being sold in this, right? So for all of y'all that seen the movie The Woman King, right? They were the homie were slave traders, right? They were pointing out the few remaining niggas that was still there that wasn't their people. So, you know, I'm just bringing that up to say that, yeah, this is humans doing human stuff, you know, and I don't like when people get caught up in the race. And that's why this situation seems to be the one that is going to push things in the right direction, because now there's no race card involved. It's just humans doing bad human stuff, right? So hopefully we'll see whatever Kamala was alluding to. Yeah, girl, that sounds great, right? But there's some other things you can work for too. So, you know,
that's right.
I'm not a big fan of hers, no, you know, Sleepy Joe, but I definitely think, you know, it's the same adage as, you know, better the devil I know than the devil I don't know. You know, at least I know out of them, I know what I'm dealing with, right? The other side, the MAGA ones, you know, making attorneys get attorneys, you know, that's a whole nother thing that is just idiotic in this country, and we've gone too far. And, you know, we're on the last bastion because jealous motherfuckers, you know, voted for these people that now they're in the Congress and they're in the Senate, but that's only going to last so long. So everybody can be calm. Trump will never be president again, right? DeSantis will never be president. They do terrible under pressure and in public speaking, and, you know, but again, these are things like I alluded to in the beginning. These are traumas, symbolism, and repetition that's constantly injected in our society to keep people emotionally distraught, you know, to keep people off their center, you know, and to keep you in balance when it comes to decision making going forward and everything else. So I'll toss it back to y'all, brothers.
Well, yeah, man, look, brothers, I don't mean to cut this short, man, but
well, cut it short, nigga, cut it short.
I got another meeting, man, to get to, brothers. I'm sorry, man. You know what I'm saying? This is great conversation, man. You know what I'm saying? This is dialogue that has to happen, that has to occur. We have to continue to talk about things the way we can, you know, get it out in the open and air and bridge the gap you know, for the youth, the Black youth in America, and then also the police forces, also to understand that we can, you know, end this systemic, you know, problem that we got going on in the police force with police brutality if we all collectively come together and try to, you know, infiltrate and get rid of a lot of that stuff ourselves on our level. We can't sit back and wait for Congress to pass laws and all that stuff. We can start now on the grassroots on our own and have those conversations, bridging those gaps, you know, getting together, getting to be familiar with the culture and being understanding of each other and having that humanistic, you know, relationship where you can come together and say, hey, look, you're a human being. I value you as a human being. You know, you're not, you know, some criminal or crook that's looking to do something evil or wicked or bad or harming others and all of that stuff. That's not going to be my first thought of when I see you or someone that looks like you. You know, I'm not going to just stereotype you and, you know, because you got on a black jogger suit or whatever like that, and I ain't going to draw down on you like they did me, that type of stuff. But it's a topic that we got to continue to have, conversations we need to continue to have in the communities with the people and stuff, and with the police officers and police force. There are some good police officers, like you mentioned before, doing some great, amazing work out there, helping and serving the community the way it should be served, you know. And then we just got those bad apples, like we asked, like Kid said, please, y'all police your police officers who are doing bad. We used to check the soldiers who was doing wrong stuff back in the Army. We was always checking them, man, and say, hey, man, you messing up. You're not doing this. You're not. So y'all need to be checking them people too. Don't protect them. Don't just, you know, look the other way like you didn't see it happen. You know, hold them accountable. Hold them accountable and let them know, hey, man, you know, that ain't right. That's not cool. That's not how we rocking. That's not what we supposed to be doing. So hold them accountable and change that culture. Change that culture. So, yeah, so listen, y'all, this has been another Still Building podcast, and your man, Marifa, you know what I'm saying, with my co-host, Kid Jones, Jack O. You did. We had a great conversation, man. I really appreciate y'all, brothers, man. I love y'all, man. You know what I'm saying? Love y'all, you know. So, dig, we're going
all coming back at you, bro.
Yeah. Look, y'all want to drop y'all links in mathematics where y'all can be found at? What's happening? You know how we close it out.
Yeah. You can hit me up.
I'm only on Facebook, man. Jack Gordon.
All right.
Yeah, you can find me on IG at famous. That's PHAMUS 357. You know, you can hit me in my DM. I'm on the actually, that's the best way to reach me right now is through Instagram, right?
IG.
It's famous 357. PHAMUS 357 on IG.
Yeah. Hit them up on Instagram. Yeah, dig. Hey, y'all know where y'all can find yours truly. You know what I'm saying? Marifa Sar LLC. You see it right here on the banner. It's in the symbol. And we're going to put links in the description for y'all. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and check us out. We're going to drop them links in the description to the IGs, to the social medias, to all the streaming platforms and everything, so y'all can get in touch with us if y'all want to connect, you know what I'm saying, and grow. Whatever y'all want to do and chop and build, we can continue to build. That's what Still Building is all about. We're trying to give you knowledge and wisdom, man, to help you grow and be better. Like, remember, I say the more you know, the more you will grow, and the better off we all shall be. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to go ahead and see if we can get out and rock out to the comparable sounds of Miss Dawn one more time.
Yes,
just for a brief moment, please. Malia Dawn, can you?
Your success will cause a riot, and your growth will show who's lying. So we gon' be good, you gon' be good. Yeah.
I had to be real quick to give my life back permission to be all I can without the limits. I guard my ears and my vision from naysayers' opinion. It's not their life I'm living, it's not their mind I was given. Ideas come to fruition as I progress on this mission. Snakes all in the grass, yes I can hear the hissing, but y'all can miss me with the venom. Won't be no lovey-dovey kissing. I hit the Dougie as I diss them, I get them.
Count your blessings while you count them.
There it is.
Behind the wrong ones, boy, it's why you lost them. Sometimes in life you need to put your things on hold. You go through the fire and come out as pure gold. So keep on going higher. Your success will cause a riot, and your growth will show who's lying.
Malia Dawn, y'all. Malia Dawn. All right, so that's it. Still Build a Podcast. We're gonna catch y'all at the next episode. My man, Kit Jones, Jacko. I'ma holler. It's your man, Marifa. One. Peace and love. Love and peace, y'all. Peace. All right, my brother.